that she accepted the nomination purely out of her respect for the rule of law
and the place of the Supreme Court in our nation.
Throughout day one of the hearing, Republicans defended Barrett's Catholic faith following criticism ahead of the hearing, but Democrats avoided the topic. The hearing resumes this morning for what will be 2 long days of questioning before it wraps up later this week. A committee vote set for October 22nd. Michael?
Thanks, Clayton. And of course, we'll have more on the confirmation process coming up later this morning on First Light. It is 10 minutes after the hour. Well, the Trump and Biden presidential campaigns are getting into high gear for the final push to Election Day with substantial voting already underway. Biden made 2 campaign stops yesterday in Ohio, Cincinnati, and Toledo, trying to turn that Republican state into a battleground. The Democrat stressing an economic message and touting his own record while casting Trump as having abandoned working-class voters. Biden citing figures showing 31 U.S. states now reporting increasing numbers of COVID-19 cases, 50,000 new cases daily, back to August levels.
215,000 people dead from COVID-19. Experts are telling us we may lose up to another 200,000 lives by the end of January. All because the president is only worried about one thing, the stock market.
Trump was in Sanford, Florida at another rally with few masks and no social distancing, and in what almost seems like the debate that won't happen this Thursday, shooting back at Biden.
Biden would terminate our recovery, delay the vaccine, prolong the pandemic, and annihilate Florida's economy with a draconian, unscientific lockdown. That's what he wants to do, lock it down.
He told Bob Woodward that he didn't want to panic the American public. Americans don't panic. Trump panicked. Trump is the one who panicked. His reckless personal conduct since his diagnosis as well has been unconscionable. And the longer Donald Trump is president, the more reckless he gets.
The radical left is hell-bent on destroying everything we love and cherish. They're enraged and unhinged out of vengeance, and nobody can believe what they're doing and where they're going, but we understand it. We understand their cancel culture. We're not letting them cancel culture us at all. We're proud of our country and we're proud of our heritage.
With all due respect, I think we need America's leadership that seeks to de-escalate tensions, to open the lines of communication, and bring us back together, to heal and to hope. As president, that's precisely what I will do. That's a president's job.
Biden even refuses to answer questions on the packing of the Supreme Court. Nobody even thought of that for many, many, many decades. And that's what they want to do. They can't get there legitimately, so they say, that's all right, we'll just pack the court.
Biden heads south to Florida's Broward County today, while the president heads north to Jonestown, Pennsylvania. 23 more days on the road to the White House. 13 past the hour on First Light.
Coming up in sports, Little Joe, rounding third and heading for home. I'm Robert Workman on First Light.
We're back in 2 minutes.
When it comes to the radio, we all have our reason to fight over the dial.
Sports talk, entertainment news. Sports talk, entertainment news.
But with some things in life, we can all win. Like at TD Ameritrade, where we offer 2 different mobile apps. TD Ameritrade Mobile is great for the investor who wants a simple way to track the market, while Thinkorswim Mobile offers a more in-depth trading experience. Visit tdameritrade.com/apps to find the one that's right for you. TD Ameritrade, where smart investors get smarter. Member SIPC.
Today on Hey Culligan, softer equals better. Here's a tweet from Ed Itchy in Idaho. Hey Culligan, my laundry is so scratchy, I just cut myself on a cable knit sweater. Any suggestions? Hashtag send help. Hey, Ed Itchy in Idaho. Yes, the Culligan High Efficiency Water Softener will make that thing so soft, it'll go from cable knit to cable knot. Itchy. Hashtag soft laundry. Hashtag already on the way. Get started for as little as $10 a month for 6 months at participating Culligan dealers.
Are you the parent of a 2 to 7-year-old? Listen closely for an exciting free radio offer. By now, you've probably heard of ABC Mouse, the Parents' Choice Award-winning online learning program that's actually changing the lives of early learners everywhere.
ABC Mouse is like a little one-on-one teacher. It has helped her so much.
Right now, we're offering a special radio promo to try it free for a month. But you have to go to abcmouse.com/radio to claim your free month. That's abcmouse.com/radio.
T-Mobile for Business knows saving time and money is important for your business. That's why we're introducing Microsoft 365 on Us, now included in our best business plans. With Office apps, Microsoft Teams, cloud storage, and more, Microsoft 365 on Us gives you the tools you need to run your business. Stop by a T-Mobile store today. Qualifying plan required. Contact us to activate. 1 license per line, max 2 per account. Third-party terms apply. See T-Mobile.com for plan details.
Welcome back to First Light at 15 and a half past the hour. We're going out to California later on for an update on the wildfires. So as long as AccuWeather meteorologist Carl Babinski is with us now, let me ask Carl, how's that hot and dry weather doing out west?
Well, Michael, we are expecting a ridge of high pressure to build into the western region, and that will have two effects over the next couple of days. One, it'll cause some pretty strong winds today in parts of eastern Washington, northern Idaho, and western Montana. High wind watches have been posted in these areas for winds out of the west that could gust as high as 60 miles per hour. And the air still very dry across California with this ridge of high pressure strengthening over the next 48 hours. Unfortunately, the fire danger will become quite high again across much of northern and central California tomorrow through Friday. Of course, we still have heat advisories and high heat warnings out for Southern California. Still some miserable air quality in parts of the San Joaquin Valley, but in the LA Basin today, temperatures soaring into the 90s. Some will touch triple digits again. There still are some red flag warnings out in the Rockies, southeastern Wyoming, and parts of Colorado. So very dry conditions, certainly a factor, and that's one thing the East has not been. Recently, Delta has left behind quite a bit of rain, and most of the rain on Monday affected the mid-Atlantic region. Now, today there still will be some residual drizzle, light rain, and fog in southern New England and New York, but conditions will be improving this afternoon. Actually, a cool front generated some strong thunderstorms in the Great Lakes region late Monday, and that front pushing through will dry out the northeast. Things across much of the south will be quiet. So, Michael, today, still damp in parts of the east, the west, way too dry. Have a great day.
Thanks, Carl. You too. It is 17 and a half past the hour. As First Light headline news continues, the state of California is telling the California Republican Party to get rid of illegal ballot drop boxes.
California Republican Party officials acknowledged Monday the party owns unofficial ballot drop boxes that have been reported in locations in Los Angeles and Orange counties and Fresno. State election officials say the boxes are illegal. State GOP spokesman Hector Barajas said the party owns the boxes, but he would not say how many exist or where they are located. Fresno County Republicans say boxes at party headquarters, a gas station, and gun shops will be removed, and ballots will be turned in to county election officials. I'm Mike Gracia.
Early voting got underway yesterday in Georgia with thousands of voters lining sidewalks and streets to cast their ballots. The computer failures that plagued the primary elections back in June were again an issue in some areas, along with polling locations with too few poll workers. High turnout on Columbus Day, when many voters were off work, also contributed to the logjam. All told, 126,876 Peach State voters cast their ballot yesterday. That's a record for the first day of early voting there, with some people waiting in line for 10 hours. And speaking of Columbus Day, it started Sunday night in Portland, Oregon, and continued through the day yesterday. So-called anti-colonization demonstrators in Portland pulling down statues of Presidents Abraham Lincoln and Theodore Roosevelt. The so-called Indigenous Peoples Day of Rage protest continued yesterday with monuments defaced or torn down in Chicago and in Santa Fe, New Mexico. The police chief in Wauwatosa, Wisconsin, says he has no reason to fire the officer who fatally shot a black teenager, the third person the officer fatally shot in the past 5 years. Alvin Cole, who was 17 years old, was shot by Officer Joseph Mensah, who is also black, back in early February after police responded to a reported disturbance at a shopping center. The Milwaukee County District Attorney cleared Mensah in the case last week, sparking days of protest. Checking the markets now, stock futures were down overnight as investors wait for the first batch of corporate earnings. Asian markets closed mixed in their Tuesday trading. Johnson & Johnson has paused its final clinical trials for a COVID-19 vaccine candidate after a participant became ill. Now, that's not unusual for these clinical trials, with the company pausing the trials to follow regulatory standards. The illness is described as unexplained, and it's not known if the person was receiving the test vaccine or a placebo. We're coming up on 20 minutes after the hour now on First Light. Robert Workman's here with baseball playoffs. Morning, Robert.
Tuesday sports, baseball, ALCS, Rays go up 2-0 on the Astros, winning 4-2. Manuel Margot with a 3-run rocket and a circus catch. NLCS, Braves score 4 in the ninth to take Game 1 from the Dodgers 5-1. Both series continue today. NFL, Saints upend the Chargers in OT. Titans and Bills tonight. NHL, Alex Pietrangelo leaves the Blues for the Golden Knights, a 7-year free agent deal at nearly $9 million per. And two-time NL MVP and World Series champion Joe Morgan passed away at 77. The 6th Baseball Hall of Famer gone this year. I'm Robert Workman.
Thank you, Robert.
I'm Kevin Carr. There's a new spooky series on Netflix right now. Let's talk about it when First Light returns.
We're back in 2 minutes.
These days, everything's customized to you, from your TV show recommendations to your smart speaker. Isn't it time your trading platform was too? Say hello to Thinkorswim. Thinkorswim is fully customizable, so you can create your own indicators, perform technical analysis, and use personal predictions to forecast the values of stocks you care about. Get a tailor-made trading experience with Thinkorswim. Learn more at tdameritrade.com/Thinkorswim. TD Ameritrade, where smart investors get smarter. Member SIPC.
Do you have $10,000 or more in credit card debt? Well, there's a secret program that credit card companies don't want you to know about. This program allows you to settle that debt for a fraction of what you owe. And Rescue One Financial would like to give you free information that reveals how banks are forgiving millions in credit card debt. In fact, the program is guaranteed to save you money or you owe nothing. So call to see how you can have your credit card debt forgiven. 800-297-5205. 800-297-5205. 800-297-5205.
Paid for by Bar Justice.
Attention all women who have been diagnosed with ovarian cancer. Johnson & Johnson's baby powder and shower-to-shower talcum products have been linked to ovarian cancer. In February and May 2016, Johnson & Johnson was ordered to pay $72 million and $55 million by 2 juries to 2 women who contracted ovarian cancer after years of using talcum baby powder products. If you or a family member has been diagnosed with ovarian cancer and used talcum powder prior to the diagnosis, call Talcum Powder Help Now today at 800-831-6155. You may be entitled to substantial compensation. The consultation is free and you'll pay nothing unless there is a recovery in your favor. Don't fight this alone. If you or a loved one used talcum baby powder-based products before being diagnosed or died from ovarian cancer, call Talcum Powder Help Now at 800-831-6155. 800-831-6155. 800-831-6155.
Welcome back to First Light this Tuesday morning. It is 23 minutes after the hour now, and Kevin Carr is here. You know, it's all about Halloween this entire month for him. He has another ghost story to tell us about. It is called The Haunting of Bly Manor, and it's on Netflix. Good morning, Kevin. What you got?
This is Halloween season, as you pointed out. You know me. I love horror movies. I love horror TV shows. You're going to find this on Netflix. It's based on the horror stories, the ghost stories of Henry James, and it's about this au pair that travels to England to be to take care of a couple kids that are troubled at this big rich estate, and their parents had mysteriously been killed, and there's some things creepy going on. You see ghosts and apparitions. It's put together by Mike Flanagan, who is best known for doing some Stephen King adaptations, but he also did the TV series The Haunting of Hill House a couple years ago on Netflix. It's not a direct sequel to The Haunting of Hill House, but it has a lot of the same themes. It has a lot of the same actors and actresses. So fans of that series are going to really like this one. It's equally as creepy. It takes its time, and it does have some real tense emotional elements to the plot.
So it looked in the trailer like it was partly a fairly traditional ghost story or scary movie. You know, you look in the mirror and you see something reflected that's behind you, that kind of scare.
Sure.
But it also seems like a very lush production.
This kind of goes back to an older day where you have these big old estates with beautiful looking interiors that you'd love to live in, but realize it would be totally haunted and you'd be scared out of your wits.
It's on Netflix, The Haunting of Bly Manor. How many tombstones for this movie?
I'm going to give it 3.5 out of 5. It's a good solid thing to watch on Halloween, but maybe not with the lights off.
Thanks, Kevin. 25 past the hour on First Light this Tuesday morning, October 13, 2020, as the Wayback Machine is set this morning for February 7th of 1912.
He was sailing alone on Moonlight Bay.
Popular record of the day, Moonlight Bay, as Roberta Wright is born in Muskogee, Oklahoma. She becomes Roberta McCain, wife of a Navy admiral and the mother of the late Senator John McCain. Roberta McCain has died at age 108.
Roberta McCain, the mother of the late Senator John McCain, took to the campaign trail back in 2008 when her son ran for president.
I'm the luckiest woman in the world to have a son like John McCain. I'm the luckiest woman in the world to be in this room with patriots like you all.
Roberta McCain married into a military family. Her late husband retired back in 1972 with the rank of 4-star admiral. She was a fixture in the Washington area and was known for her feisty attitude and brutal honesty. Daughter-in-law Cindy McCain tweeted that she could not have asked for a better friend or role model. Granddaughter Megan McCain thanked her grandmother, whom she fondly referred to as Nana, for teaching her how to live with grit, conviction, intensity, and love. This is what Megan had to say just last year while hosting The View TV show when her grandmother had just turned 107.
And she said adventure, closeness with family, being politically active, and she used to be friends with Amelia Earhart, which is something I just found out recently.
That's amazing.
I just think we should honor women that come before us and honor women who have lived such a long life. And one thing Joy and I always agree on is we hate ageism, and I just think I learned so much from the older women in my life, and I'm just, at this specific time in our family, she's such a beacon of strength.
According to a statement released from the family, her son Joe was at his mother's side at her Washington home when she died. She was 108. I'm Kathy Foster.
It's 27 past the hour. First Light returns in 2 minutes.
Just as we sang those sweet songs on Moonlight Bay.
Napa know-how.
At Napa, we've teamed up with AAA to save you 20% online or in-store. That's why they call us the Savings Dream Team. Okay, we're the only ones calling us that. But it's true. Your AAA membership can save you 20% at Napa. So we're basically superheroes with the most specific power ever, saving you 20%. Quality parts, helpful people. That's Napa know-how.
Napa know-how.
20% off regular retail prices with valid AAA membership card. Offer ends 10/31/20.
With TD Ameritrade, you get everything you need to become a smarter investor. Get help from knowledgeable professionals. Get customizable trading platforms. Get investor education designed just for you. And would you believe? 0 commissions on online stock and ETF trades. Get smarter with TD Ameritrade. TD Ameritrade, where smart investors get smarter.
Paid for by Bar Justice.
Attention all women who have been diagnosed with ovarian cancer. Johnson & Johnson's baby powder and shower-to-shower talcum products have been linked to ovarian cancer. In February and May 2016, Johnson & Johnson was ordered to pay $72 million and $55 million by 2 juries to 2 women who contracted ovarian cancer after years of using talcum baby powder products. If you or a family member has been diagnosed with ovarian cancer and used talcum powder prior to the diagnosis, call Talcum Powder Help Now today at 800-831-6155. You may be entitled to substantial compensation. The consultation is free and you'll pay nothing unless there is a recovery in your favor. Don't fight this alone. If you or a loved one used talcum baby powder-based products before being diagnosed or died from ovarian cancer, call Talcum Powder Help Now at 800-831-6155. 800-831-6155. 800-831-6155.
Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
Have you checked this week's big ad for Bob Wine's Camellia Gardens? Go to bobwinescameliagardens.net and check out the special deals this week. A great selection of fall bedding plants, just $1.99 each, or get a flat of 18 for $19.99. Knockout and Drift Roses, Bob's best quality, normally selling for $29.99, are half price at $14.99. That's not all. Bob has tons of azaleas. During his truckload azalea sale, dwarf ever-blooming azaleas, still just $3.99. Larger ever-blooming azaleas that sold all year for $19.99 are closeout priced at just $7.99. You really got to take a look at these. Wherever you look all over this 5.5-acre garden, there are serious bargains. Get your share at Bob Wine's Camellia Gardens on Southeast 38th Street, Ocala. They're open daily till 4:30, Saturdays till 3:30, in the same blooming place since 1952.
USA Radio News with Tim Berg.
I'm not a fan of court packing, but I don't want to get off on that whole issue.
Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden, when asked about court packing by WKRC TV in Cincinnati, Biden spending his Monday campaigning in Ohio. The former vice president will be in Florida today. In less than 2 hours, today's confirmation hearing for Supreme Court nominee Amy Coney Barrett will begin. Democrats are expected to grill Barrett about her past comments criticizing the court's 2012 ruling that upheld the Affordable Care Act, commonly known as Obamacare. Senate Judiciary Committee Chairman Lindsey Graham on getting Coney Barrett confirmed.
If we can get this wonderfully qualified conservative woman on the court, we'll be making a statement to all young conservative women, there's a place at the table for you.
You're listening to USA Radio News.
If you're over the age of 50 and considering buying an annuity in the next 60 days, I have some important news for you. Don't buy an annuity until you understand the pros and cons of annuities. A free book to help you maximize your retirement income from television host and 3-time author Josh Melberg has been released. This book reveals little-known truths about annuity strategies in simple-to-understand terms. Grab a pen right now because we are about to offer you this free book that unlocks the 5 little-known secrets we believe baby boomers and seniors should know before buying an annuity. Call 800-985-1813 now, and you'll receive a free copy of Josh Melberg's book, Next Gen Annuity Strategies Revealed. As a bonus, we'll also send you a copy of The #1 Mistakes Retirees Are Making with Their Investments Today, and a free DVD on how you can get up to 33% more income in retirement. Call 800-985-1813 now. Again, that's 800-985-1813. Employees of J.D. Melberg Financial have the appropriate licenses for the products they offer.
When it really counts, depend on the source for the latest weather updates, keeping you ahead of the storm. 96.3 FM, 1370 AM, The Source.
We'll have plenty of sunshine today with a high of 87 to 90. Clear skies tonight, low 68 to 73. Then mostly sunny on Wednesday with a thunderstorm in spots in the afternoon, but a shower in spots near the coast. High 87 to 89. Partly sunny Thursday with a thunderstorm in spots and a high of 85 to 89. Then we can expect showers late Thursday night. Friday, thunderstorm, high 85 to 88. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm Holly Holdren.
This message explains the reason that Latin Americans are conservative Republicans and Trump supporters. It is narrated by Jerry W. Torres, Master Sergeant, U.S. Army retired, volunteer for veterans causes, and former president of a U.S. company with over 18,000 employees.
Environmental protection.
Latin Americans have a deep compassion, concern, and respect for our ecosystems, environment, and our natural resources. Like most Americans, we enjoy family visits to our national, state, city, and community parks. And we dearly desire a future with cleaner air to breathe, pollution-free oceans, seas, lakes, rivers, and creeks, and robust forests teeming with an abundance of natural wildlife. We understand that as individuals and communities, we are the Earth's stewards, responsible for the care and protection of our environment and the natural resources given to us by our planet. However, we must achieve a clean global natural environment through deliberate, responsible, and inclusive consensus on a national and, importantly, a global basis. This is vital since the less developed and densely populated countries in Asia and the Asian subcontinent, Africa, and South America are responsible for the majority of air, ocean, and sea pollution around the globe. Cleaning the environment must be achieved through responsible policies that allow workers in polluting industries such as gas, coal, auto, and transportation to be retrained and re-educated before their business operations are permanently shut down and their jobs are lost. Our fellow citizens in these workforces must be given a fighting chance to provide for their families with dignity while adjusting to new and flourishing work environments. We must also continue to support the industries that over 40 years ago, through their own initiative, began delivering clean air solutions before the Green New Deal became a fashionable term by liberal Democrats. For example, the auto industry built electric and natural gas cars over 40 years ago without government regulations. But these solutions have been highly inefficient until now. Today, with advancements in the technology, these solutions are viable alternatives to gasoline and diesel engines. Private industry, also without government regulations, began building wind turbine farms to generate clean energy in 1980. Today, private industry installs hundreds of wind turbines each month, with over 57,000 working throughout the 50 United States. Private industry, also through its own initiative and innovation, built solar power capacity without government intervention in 1981. Today, there are over 2,500 electricity-generating solar power plants throughout the United States. Each of these solutions reduce the stress on our atmosphere, oceans, seas, lakes, rivers, and forests. These environmental innovations were invented by industrious Americans, including Latin American scientists and engineers, well before the Green New Deal became a trendy phrase. The conservative Republican Party is committed to profound and momentous clean environmental solutions by allowing industries to use their initiative to innovate and build added and enhanced clean environment solutions. This while keeping our American workforce employed with dignity and their families safe and prosperous. Please support the preservation of our natural environment by allowing our civilian initiative to continue to innovate clean environment solutions. And importantly, please vote for conservative Republican candidates to make certain we clean, preserve, and care for our air, oceans, seas, lakes, rivers, creeks, and forests, and our natural wildlife.
La Voz de la Confianza. Paid for by Jerry Torres. For more information, visit jwtorres.us.
Value judgments of government must be made by the political branches, elected by and accountable to the people. The public should not expect courts to do so, and courts should not try.
The Republican-led Judiciary Committee is holding confirmation hearings for the Indiana federal court judge most of this week. President Trump picked the conservative Barrett to replace the late liberal Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Rhode Island Democrat Sheldon Whitehouse criticized the Republican rush to get Barrett confirmed so close to the presidential election.
But Americans see what's going on. They see this ugly, hasty, hypocritical power grab, and they know what it means for their health care in the midst of a pandemic.
A reference to the case the Supreme Court will consider shortly after the election, a case that seeks to overturn the Affordable Care Act, or Obamacare. Democrats argued the winner of the presidential election should fill the Supreme Court vacancy. I'm Terry Moore in Washington.
Thanks, Terry. Dan McLaughlin is a senior writer at National Review Online, and he's got a very thorough article just out in Law and the Courts titled, "Nobody Should Expect Amy Coney Barrett to Strike Down Obamacare." He's joining us to talk about that now, and day one of the hearing. So we're really glad that you're with us on First Light, Dan.
Thank you.
And I wanted to get your reaction to what you saw yesterday. It almost seemed at times as if it was two different hearings, with Democrats trying to talk about health care and the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare, and the Republicans talking about religion and trying to inoculate the nominee from what they are expecting to be some sort of attacks based on her religion from the Democrats. So how do you think it went, and did both parties achieve whatever they were setting out to do yesterday?
These hearings tend to have a kind of surreal talking past each other quality, where the senators, from both parties tend to be pursuing different missions and kind of ignoring the nominee in front of them. And I think we had kind of an extreme case of that yesterday. The Democrats have decided, here's the thing. The Democrats in the past on the Senate Judiciary Committee, so these very senators who were at the hearing, have gone after a number of nominees, Judge Barrett most prominently, for the appeals courts on the grounds that, that they're Catholic, that they belong to Catholic organizations, and therefore, cannot be trusted on issues, most particularly Roe versus Wade, which the Democrats would like to be able to get nominees to swear their fealty to. So I think the Democrats realize that in a general presidential election that is coming up soon, where they have a Catholic nominee on the ticket and they're trying to appeal to a lot of moderate Midwestern voters, that they can't, it's going to look bad if they do that. And so, even though that may be the instinct of the progressive base, and we've seen quite a lot of that even now from the certain corners of the kind of left-wing media, I think the Democrats realize that's not really where they want to be. They would rather talk about how they think Judge Barrett is a threat to strike down the entire Obamacare and federal health care system in a case that's going to be heard right after the election. So that they would much rather talk about that, whereas the Republicans, quite reasonably would like this, first of all, to be mostly an issue about the nominee and the Constitution and how you read the Constitution. And so they were talking much more about, the Democrats' past attacks on Judge Barrett and other nominees, and about her biography and her philosophy. So I think they both laid down their markers for their own audiences. But, I think as we get further into the week, you may see them fixing it up a little more.
It's 19 minutes before the hour this Tuesday morning on First Light. We're talking with Dan McLaughlin, senior writer at National Review Online. The two sides seem to be fixed on totally different points in the future. The Republicans are totally fixed on cementing a conservative majority on that court for a long, long time and getting this nomination done and getting her on the bench as quickly as possible. The Democrats seem to be more focused on the November 3rd election, which is already underway, basically, by punishing the Republican Party by beating them with the cudgel of health care and making that a campaign issue, because they know that they are not going to have the votes to be successful. So I assume that could be the only point that they're really trying to get at here is by stressing the Affordable Care Act.
They don't have the votes to stop this, and unless they can come up with some sort of a last-minute gimmick, they don't even have the votes to delay it. I mean, the problem Republicans have is that, there is this lawsuit challenging Obamacare yet again. It has made its way up to the Supreme Court. The Trump administration has unwisely taken a fairly aggressive legal position in trying to get the whole statute struck down. There is a pretty good chance that the court is going to strike down the individual mandate, which it barely, only by a 5-4 vote, upheld in 2012. But because of the way the case has come up to the court, it's very unlikely at this point that even if the court strikes down the mandate, which is largely toothless by now because Congress already removed the tax penalty for disobeying the mandate, and the IRS has suspended the use of some of the forms that you even need to fill out to show compliance with the mandate, some of them. The court may well do that, but it is very unlikely at this point that the court is actually going to strike down very much more of Obamacare. And there's a variety of legal reasons for that. But the bottom line is that the case does not have a great chance of success already. It's not going to have much better chance of success with Judge Barrett entered the court. And there's no particular reason to think that she would rule any differently than some of the other conservative justices who are on the court, who are probably not going to rule in favor of this case in broad terms anyway. And so the Democrats are engaging in what may be a bit of a charade here in pretending to be worried about something that's very unlikely to happen.
All right, Dan, that takes us to 17 minutes before the hour. Seems like a good time to pause our conversation with Dan McLaughlin, senior writer over at National Review Online. We'll continue taking a look at yesterday's Senate confirmation hearing for Judge Barrett to become a justice on the Supreme Court in a little bit. Right now, though, a break. We'll come back with news headlines, sports and weather, and much more.
On the historic California wildfires,
progress across the board has been made.
But the weather again is turning in favor of the fires. On First Light, I'm Jim Roop.
When the coronavirus struck your community, what if you had no soap, masks, food, medical care? This is the reality for the world's most vulnerable people. But there's hope. Children International is helping provide children and families in poverty with the critical essentials they need to survive. Things like food assistance, hygiene education, medical help, and financial aid. To learn how you can help, go to children.org/help today.
T-Mobile for Business knows saving time and money is important for your business. That's why we're introducing Microsoft 365 on us, now included in our best business plans. With Office apps, Microsoft Teams, cloud storage, and more, Microsoft 365 on us gives you the tools you need to run your business. Stop by a T-Mobile store today. Qualifying plan required. Contact us to activate. 1 license per line, max 2 per account. Third-party terms apply. See T-Mobile.com for plan details.
Paid for by Bar Justice.
Attention all women who have been diagnosed with ovarian cancer. Johnson & Johnson's baby powder and shower-to-shower talcum products have been linked to ovarian cancer. In February and May 2016, Johnson & Johnson was ordered to pay $72 million and $55 million by 2 juries to 2 women who contracted ovarian cancer after years of using talcum baby powder products. If you or a family member has been diagnosed with ovarian cancer and used talcum powder prior to the diagnosis, call Talcum Powder Help Now today at 800-831-6155. You may be entitled to substantial compensation. The consultation is free and you'll pay nothing unless there is a recovery in your favor. Don't fight this alone. If you or a loved one used talcum baby powder-based products before being diagnosed or died from ovarian cancer, call Talcum Powder Help Now at 800-831-6155. 800-831-6155. 800-831-6155.
Welcome back as First Light Headline News continues at 14 before the hour. The state of California has sent the state Republican Party a cease and desist notice to remove unofficial ballot drop boxes. If the California GOP doesn't comply with the cease and desist from Secretary of State Alex Padilla and Attorney General Xavier Becerra, by Thursday the party could be prosecuted. But a Republican spokesperson said that the party will continue to collect ballots with drop boxes. The state says only counties are allowed to install drop boxes, which are subject to state security standards. Voters waited for as long as 10 hours on Georgia's first day of early voting yesterday, raising some questions about whether election officials are prepared for what is shaping up to be a historic early voting season. President Trump's doctor, Sean Conley, says in a memo released by the White House that the president has tested negative for the virus, the coronavirus, on, quote, consecutive days and is no longer contagious. 31 U.S. states now reporting higher coronavirus infections than before, with 50,000 new cases a day, which was the level back in August. A circuit court judge, meanwhile, has denied a lawsuit against Wisconsin Governor Tony Evers to overturn the face mask mandate in that state. 5 men accused in a plot to kidnap Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer will appear in federal court today for a hearing on whether they should be detained before trial. They face life in prison if convicted. 12 minutes before the hour now. Robert Workman's with us, full of baseball news this morning, aren't you, Robert?
Michael, baseball's League Championship Series, American League, Rays shaded the Astros 4-2 for a 2-0 lead. Game 3 at Petco Park in primetime tonight, starting just after 8:30 Eastern. National League, Braves score 4 in the ninth to down the Dodgers 5-1 in Game 1. More great pitching from the Braves. Max Fried in the headroom with a 4-hitter and 11 Ks. Game 2 this evening at Globe Life Field, just past 6 Eastern. NFL Week 5 continues. Monday night, Saints came back to beat the Chargers 30-27 in overtime. LA led 20-3, but Drew Brees punched in 1 TD and threw for another. Will Lutz made 3 field goals, including 1 in OT. Justin Herbert threw 4 touchdown passes for the Bolts, but Michael Badgley missed the PAT on the first of those and doinked a 50-yard field goal try off the upright at the end of regulation. Tonight, Titans and Bills. Falcons named defensive coordinator Raheem Morris as their interim head coach. Team president Rich McKay will oversee day-to-day operations. Atlanta fired coach Dan Quinn and GM Thomas Dimitroff after Sunday's home loss to Carolina, dropped them to 0-5 for the first time since 1997. NHL big free agency move Monday. Defenseman Alex Pietrangelo goes to the Golden Knights on a 7-year deal worth $61.6 million. The 4th overall pick in the 2008 draft played 12 years in St. Louis, captaining the Blues to the Stanley Cup last year. The Rangers signed the number 1 pick in this year's draft, Alexis Lafreniere, to his entry-level contract, 3 years at the maximum $925,000 per season. And safe home to Joe Morgan, the Hall of Fame second baseman who won back-to-back NL MVPs with the Reds as they won World Series titles in 1975 and 1976. Morgan began his career with the Houston Colt 45s ended it in his hometown of Oakland 22 years later, then became a baseball broadcast legend for 25 years. Joe Morgan, flapping that chicken wing, was 77 years old. He's the 6th Baseball Hall of Famer to pass this year. That's Tuesday Sports.
Thank you, Robert. 10 minutes before the hour on First Light, let's find out from AccuWeather meteorologist Carl Babinski what we can expect when we go outside today.
Today in Seattle, there will be some rain, especially this morning, otherwise rather cloudy with a gusty breeze. Stronger winds are expected in eastern Washington. Spokane today, 58 with some rain, especially early. Missoula, Montana could have wind gusts later today in excess of 50 miles per hour. It'll be quite warm in Southern California. Los Angeles today, bright and sunny, a high of 92. Still damp in New York City for a while this morning. Boston as well with bits of rain and drizzle. It should, though, dry out this afternoon. Highs in New York will be in the upper 60s. Boston between 60 and 65. And in our nation's capital, expect some sunshine today and a high not far from 70. For further updates on the weather, check out our AccuWeather.com app.
Thanks, Carl. So there's a significant weather event shaping up out in California, and correspondent Jim Roop tells us it just might affect the great progress that's been made against those historic wildfires burning out there. Jim?
Michael, Mother Nature is back at it, says Governor Gavin Newsom.
Hot temperatures, unseasonably hot. We're also going to see an increase in winds.
Those darn devil winds, the so-called Diablo winds that blow hot and fierce in Northern California, and the Santa Ana winds that blow from the desert to the shore, heating up and speeding up as they are compressed through the passes and canyons in Southern California, all of which can cause small brush fires to explode into raging wildfires in no time.
As high as 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts.
So this means rolling blackouts, or as the new politically correct term goes, public safety power shutoffs, commonly called PSPS. Pacific Gas and Electric ratepayers in nearly 24 counties will experience these temporary power shutoffs in an effort to supposedly reduce the possibility of the high winds causing active power lines to fall into dry brush that sparks a wildfire, or that would cause a transformer to spark, causing a fire. Meanwhile, fires continue to burn, including the state's first ever gigafire, the August Complex fire at more than 1 million acres. It is, at the filing of this report, 75% contained, but the winds could cause some loss in that containment. In all, more than 4 million acres have burned in the state. Newsom saying hundreds of structures destroyed, more than 30 people have been killed.
And I caution always the fatalities and structure data likely to increase.
The increase in numbers come as areas are repopulated. Some people have been evacuated from their homes for more than a month now. Other fires, the Creek Fire that has scorched more than 330,000 acres is now 55% contained. The Glass Fire is 95% contained, but not before it's burned nearly 70,000 acres. And the Bobcat Fire in Southern California has burned some 116,000 acres. It's just over 90% contained. Holding those containments will be a challenge over the next several days. Michael.
Thank you, Jim. We've got a break coming up now, and when First Light continues in just 2 minutes, more of our conversation with Dan McLaughlin, senior writer at National Review Online, about the Supreme Court hearing yesterday.
I'm Saniqua Martin Green, and when my mother was diagnosed with cancer, our world changed forever. This experience made me so passionate about spreading awareness of treatment options, including clinical trials. I'm joining Stand Up to Cancer to get information to those who have been diagnosed with cancer and their loved ones. Clinical trials introduce new hope for patients, providing access to cutting-edge new treatments. Talk to your doctor to see if a clinical trial may be the best choice for you or a loved one. To learn more, visit standuptocancer.org/clinical trials today.
Furnished by Stand Up to Cancer.
Napa know-how.
At Napa, you can buy a 5-quart jug of Mobil 1 full synthetic motor oil for just $27.99. And as a bonus, you'll score a $10 gift card by mail-in rebate. That's like a cherry on top of the cherry on top of your oil change. So get $10 back by mail when you buy a jug of Mobil 1. Quality parts, helpful people. That's Napa know-how.
Napa know-how.
General states pricing. Sales price does not include applicable state, local taxes, or recycling fees. Offer ends 10/31/20.
Paid for by Bar Justice.
Attention all women who have been diagnosed with ovarian cancer. Johnson & Johnson's baby powder and shower-to-shower talcum products have been linked to ovarian cancer. In February and May 2016, Johnson & Johnson was ordered to pay $72 million and $55 million by 2 juries to 2 women who contracted ovarian cancer after years of using talcum baby powder products. If you or a family member has been diagnosed with ovarian cancer and used talcum powder prior to the diagnosis, call Talcum Powder Help Now today at 800-831-6155. you may be entitled to substantial compensation. The consultation is free and you'll pay nothing unless there is a recovery in your favor. Don't fight this alone. If you or a loved one used talcum baby powder-based products before being diagnosed or died from ovarian cancer, call Talcum Powder Help now at 800-831-6155. 800-831-6155. 800-831-6155.
5 minutes until the top of the hour as First Light continues this Tuesday morning. We've got more of our conversation now with National Review Online senior writer Dan McLaughlin as we focus on yesterday's day one of Supreme Court confirmation hearings for Judge Amy Coney Barrett. In her opening statement, Judge Barrett talked about her approach, and she said courts are not designed to solve every problem or right every wrong in our public life. And then Senator Harris, of course, the vice presidential nominee for the Democratic Party, said the court is often the last refuge for equal justice. The very idea of justice is at stake. So if there were any substance to the hearing yesterday, could it be boiled down right there in that argument? And were those two at the center of it?
Maybe. I mean, Harris is obviously very much on the spot because she is on the national ticket. At the same time, you know, justice and law are not necessarily the same things. It's the court's job to do law, not justice. Now, obviously, you always want to bear justice in mind as you're doing law. Sometimes that comes into play, sometimes it doesn't. When the law is clear, it's the court's job to apply it. Certainly, some of the fundamental principles of equality and the fundamental principles of civil liberty that we look to from the Constitution are very much explicitly in the Constitution. And so in those cases, it is up to the justices to have the courage to stand up and say, you know what, the Constitution says this, and I don't care if it's unpopular, and I don't care if the majority doesn't like it. It's our job to do that. You know, and the court hasn't always had the courage to do that in the past. Civil rights is the most obvious example, right? If you go back to the 19th century, the court did not stand up for the civil rights of Black Americans, even though the text was very clear. And so I think that Judge Barrett's position and Justice Scalia's position that she's kind of channeling her old boss is one that is very much in favor of equality and in favor of civil liberties when you're talking about enforcing the rights that have been written down. But it's not so much a position in favor of taking the courts in a position into a direction of saying, you know, we're going to have a free-floating mandate here to disregard the law and do what we think is justice.
Chairman of the committee, Lindsey Graham, said that they're hoping for an initial vote as early as Thursday, and they could get to final committee approval a week later and maybe get a vote on the full Senate floor on October 26th. That's a rocket docket, I guess. Is that going to happen?
It is an aggressive time frame by the way the Senate operates today. Obviously, as a historical matter, it's not necessarily. If you go back to Franklin Roosevelt or Abraham Lincoln, there were nominees, Supreme Court nominees, who got sent up to the Senate and they got confirmed the same day. Justice Burns, who FDR sent up in like 1942 or so, he was confirmed in like 10 minutes. FDR didn't even have time to tell him he'd been nominated. Yeah, I mean, the Senate calendar normally doesn't work that quickly these days, but the Democrats only have some fairly modest and kind of long shot ways to slow this down. So as long as Senator Graham wants this to move and the Republican majority wants it to move and they don't have any serious illnesses that keep people from showing up to vote, there shouldn't really be any reason why they can't meet that deadline, or at least some deadline that is before the election, which they clearly would like to do.
All right. Thanks so much. Dan McLaughlin is a senior writer at National Review Online, and that's a good place to read his article. Nobody should expect Amy Coney Barrett to strike down Obamacare, and of course all the other articles he's written are also right there. Thanks so much, Dan, for being with us on First Light.
Thanks for having me.
And that's First Light for this Tuesday morning. Thanks to producer T.J. Cutini. I'm Michael Toscano. We'll be back here tomorrow morning, and we hope to see you then.
Have you checked this week's big ad for Bob Wine's Camellia Gardens? Go to bobwinescameliagardens.net and check out the special deals this week. A great selection of fall bedding plants, just $1.99 each, or get a flat of 18 for $19.99. Knockout and Drift roses, Bob's best quality, normally selling for $29.99, are half price at $14.99. That's not all. Bob has tons of azaleas. During his truckload azalea sale, dwarf ever-blooming azaleas, still just $3.99. Larger ever-blooming azaleas that sold all year for $19.99 are closeout priced at just $7.99. You really got to take a look at these. Wherever you look all over this 5.5-acre garden, there are serious bargains. Get your share at Bob Wine's Camellia Gardens on Southeast 38th Street, Ocala. They're open daily till 4:30, Saturdays till 3:30, in the same blooming place since 1952.
Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.